Sunrise, sunset. Today is the best one yet. Crab pot, horsefly, not a cloud in the southern sky. Starry night, crescent moon, and palmetto tree. I'm so high, you see, on the low country, salt and sea hospitality. I'm so high on the low country.
So the next house that we're going to go to is not necessarily a Bluffton historical home, and it's certainly off the beaten path, but it's a house that just, through golf cart adventures, we stumbled upon, and in looking for inspiration as far as really nailing down the color scheme and how we were going to treat painting the casing versus the siding, soffit, etc. As soon as I saw this house, I fell in love with it and said, look, that's what I would like to recreate. And I brought Beth by, and she was in agreement. So we're going to roll in here and take a look.
You're talking about color scheme wise?
Just color scheme,
Yep.
But it also has lap siding, white lap siding.
But not architecturally?
Not architecturally, no. We didn't draw any inspiration from anything to do with the architecture of this home, just materials and color. One neat thing about this house is the outside of the screen porch is all painted white. So when you look at it from the outside, it's white, but from the inside looking out, they painted it black. And a lot of times, even inside of a home, if you have a place that has a beautiful view, oftentimes we'll paint the windows and the muntins and the mullions of the windows and doors a darker color because it doesn't catch your eye. Your eye is able to look past the dark color and see what's beyond. Even if you have white interior trim, that white pattern, whatever it is on the window or the door, that stops your eye, that catches it. These guys, whomever built this home or painted it, made the decision. They painted the entirety of their inside of the screen porch black, which I thought was genius. And I've never seen it done before. And that's something we're going to play with on our house as well. But as we round the corner, this guy right here, you can peek in and you can see.
Not this tan one, but the one past it.
You can see how the columns are white, and it's tough to get the viewpoint from here. But the inside looking out, the back of that column is black. The soffit of this house is all painted black, exposed rafter tails. So this is, in essence, that's our soffit detail.
Yeah.
Our windows are black. Here they're Charleston green again. The casing, everything around is white. And the corner boards, in addition to the soffit and windows, were painted black to frame it out. So, nothing's new. And our house, even though it may have what appears to some to be some unique properties, it's all borrowed. If you get a shot into the porch, you can see how some of those elements being painted dark color and the ceiling being painted black.
Is our ceiling gonna be black?
We're gonna have pine beams
That will be black.
in between each one of the windows that'll be stained, and that'll be stained to play off the interior antique pine flooring that we're going to put in the main area.
Or is the ceiling gonna be black?
Ceiling is going to be a 1x6 tight joint nickel gap that's going to be painted a paint blue
Okay.
right now.
So no, it's not gonna be black.
Ceiling's not going to be black. So the Hain blue is a color that
Keep
goes
spiders away. if they get sky, and they won't build their spider webs.
Best way to keep spiders away is to put ceiling fans in and leave them on. Some people say that it keeps spiders away, but the blue ceilings originally came from Gullah, not theory, but Gullah culture and their beliefs that the blue emulating the sky kept haints or ghosts and spirits from coming into houses. And it's the Gullah culture is predominant here in the Sea Islands of South Carolina and Georgia.
Look at that photo tree.
And given the remoteness and the isolation of the Sea Islands, the African culture was kept strongest in many parts here than any other areas in the United States or the Southeast. So that's where that came from. It wasn't from bugs. It was from Gullah culture. So, and the true haint blue is a pretty doggone bright blue. There are several colors that we've used in the past, and what we'll try to go with is something like a powder blue. When you look up, you can't even tell that it's blue. However, it's not going to be white.
Good morning.
How are you,
Good
sir?
morning.
How are you?
Doing very well. Good to
Watch
see
out
you.
for-
So this house on the corner, we took Amanda through. We didn't take her to the last house because that was something we found later. But we took her to the Hayward house. We took her to the Fripp Loudon house, Seven Oaks. Architectural design. This is what we wanted to look like. This is what we want to draw from. But as Beth has seen, I feel that certain things can't be communicated directly. I feel like they're better communicated in feelings and what you get from looking at it. So what I did is I brought Amanda by here and I said, look, I want our house to feel like this. Because in my mind, this home feels like it's been loved and lived in by families for countless summers here on the banks of the May River. It is worn, it is weathered, it is beaten, and that's what we're going to do to this house. I mean, we got two little boys. We are going to enjoy it. We're not going to, it's going to get scratches. We're putting in pine flooring, and I know that it's going to get worn out. We got a black lab, but we build houses all the time that are meant to be low maintenance, minimal impact. And when you're building a second home, a vacation home, in an area such as this, that's very important. When you're building something that you want to have a real soul and a lot of heart and love to it, that's not necessarily the main thing. So let's take a look. So the Hayward house and a lot of the homes that were built around here, they were taken from designs of planters' homes in the West Indies. And by West Indies, we're talking about North Atlantic Caribbean, Jamaica, Cuba, Dominican Republic. Believe it or not, this architecture originated from the West Indies. So these are, not only are they beach houses, these are Caribbean coastal homes. I was blown away when I realized that. But yes, this is a beach house that is on the banks of the May River. So again, this house I can see ages, and generations of people just coming and going, windows open, running, cooking crabs, shucking oysters, peeling shrimp, just living in this house and enjoying, the area that we're at. So, I brought Amanda here and I said, look, I want my house to feel like this. And this is such a great piece. And it has a screen porch.
And it's got a screen porch.
So. Anything else, Beth?
Nope. It's a lightning rod. Do you see that?
Is that a lightning rod or is that an antenna?
No.
I think that might be an old antenna. But it does have a 3x6 rafter tails. It doesn't have any frieze going across the end of the rafter tails, which is something that was on our drawings and we took off. The horizontal lap siding, which that's about a 5-inch exposure. We went with a 4-inch exposure. It goes all the way down to the piers. A lot of times you'll see water tables put on houses nowadays because that house was built on brick piers, probably on compacted fill. structural reports and structural geotechnical reports, those calculations don't allow us to build a house like that and don't allow it to pass code. But that's how homes were built for ages and ages, and they're still standing here. When we built our house, we wanted to be as least impactful on the property as possible. So I called Rick Strauss with Whitaker Laboratories. I brought him over, and I said, hey, Rick, here's what I want to do. I want to put isolated pier footings here so as to not have to do a large foundation and just place our point loads where they needed to be. And I wanted to tuck our brick pier underneath the home such as this so that it looked authentic. Mm-hmm. That's difficult to do. That's very difficult to do. The initial design and talking to Cranston and Lamb and Gray regarding that, they came up with a specialty angle detail that was supposed to sit on top of the CMU pier, cantilever out to allow a full-size brick to be underneath that piece of structural steel and the exterior bearing wall to sit on the steel. So I see the structural drawings for the first time and I look at that and I know that those are gonna cost about $700 or $800 a piece. And we needed close to 30 of them. So that didn't even get priced. This is me as a builder having an idea and seeing it come through the design process and saying, whoa, that's what I wanted to do, but I didn't want to do it that way.
I didn't want it to cost that much.
And I don't want it to cost that much. Those are 3 trade persons within the industry that are going through that process and coming to a result. Imagine if you're building this house and you don't have that insight. You have to be able to rely upon somebody to say, hey, there's a better way to do this. We don't need to do that. And oftentimes, it's not the architect or the structural engineer that's going to be the one that raises his hand. It needs to be the builder. So I went back to the drawing board on that. And I said, you know what if we just cantilever that exterior wall instead of the thickness of a full brick? What if we just go over 2 inches? And Old Carolina makes a Savannah gray brick that we utilized here, and we're going to talk with Kevin Keys with Savannah Hardscapes here in a minute. It's a replica of the original Savannah gray bricks that were built between 1820s and just up until the Civil War on Hermitage Plantation. I think I'm saying that right. 3 miles north of Savannah, Georgia. These bricks were made by enslaved persons for many, many years. Savannah burned, a large part of downtown Savannah burned in the 1820s. And then there was a huge demand for these bricks to replace all of these wooden structures that burned. All of those Savannah Grays came from one plantation. That plantation is long gone. International Paper now sits there, but it drew its grayish, bluish color from the mud that was pulled from the Savannah River. There are 2 companies, Old Carolina and Cherokee, that make oversized replicas of these bricks. I think Old Carolina, their new Savannah Gray is probably the most accurate, and it's a fantastic brick. It's a solid core brick that has the texture on all 6 sides, and they make a thin brick. They also make a brick that has outside corners. So utilizing 8-inch block as well as 12-inch block for all of our cast-in-place piers, our isolated piers, we were able to wrap those with a thin brick in an old Savannah to match and replicate the original Savannah gray bricks that were made in the early 1800s that you see in many of these structures in this area now. And we were able to replicate the size of a traditional brick pier.
Worked beautifully.
It worked awesome. We have everything overhung. Our lap siding comes down. It overlaps the brick. And this is a design that originated with this home. This isn't something we pulled from an architectural detail and something we've done in the past. I've never done it, never heard about it, never seen it. But I do think that it's something we're going to do a lot more in the future because it provides an original look and one that is relatively easily replicated. Let's go check it out.
Yeah. Here we are,
but,
Crystal Beach.
So those were the ideas and those were some of the concepts. But the place and the setting and the site always dictates a large part of the design, orientation, which way it's going to face. Here we have kind of a southeasterly exposure for our home. So we're picking up on great light in the mornings. However, just due to the orientation of the site itself, we're not going to have a lot of afternoon lighting. We're not going to have a lot of evening lighting coming in the main living area. So lighting is very important. In keeping with the architectural feel of the community of where we are, this particular home, we also drew a lot of inspiration from. Everything from the soldering and the stepping of the brick chimney, the coloration of the windows, the Charleston green complemented with the white, the galvalume or tin roof. You know, our house is supposed to be a kind of a sister image of this guy.
The siding coming all the way down to the piers, like at the last house.
Yep, no water table, elevated pier, open crawl space. But you know, we're obviously updating it. We'll have an enclosed crawl space with lattice work that'll.
And as Josh goes into the masonry segments, we took their steps. And what are those walls called?
Cheek walls.
Cheek walls, and we are going to incorporate some cheek walls to kind of go along with the feel of this neighborhood and the original cottages such as this.
Or not.
Or not.
I don't know that we're going to do cheek walls.
Oh, well, you said
We talked about it. We looked at it in
we were.
Savannah. We walked around. We talked about it elaborately.
But,
Thought about putting sandstone or limestone caps on top of it, the whole 9 yards.
but we're not going to. That's fine. Whatever. I like them but if they don't match, then they don't match. They don't work.
I think it feels great there on a shorter set of steps. Our steps, we're going to have like 7 risers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if
Might be too much.
I think it's going to be too big and they'll end up being too tall,
Oh, anyway.
weigh it down. So it's all right with you. We'll not do cheek walls, even though we did talk about it. And
Okay. This is how we communicate.
oftentimes the design development with either party can continue forward beyond where the last conversation left off.
Yep. So, cheers.
Cheers. The main goal of this whole process is to try to just fit this house in here and make it feel like it belongs, make it feel like it grew here. There's a lot of thought that goes into this, and I think that oftentimes clients or prospective people that are getting ready to build take for granted how much time and effort is actually involved. So it puts the emphasis back on having a good team, having a good builder, designer, and architect, and allowing them to make the decisions and give the guidance to not bog you down and get worn out by some of the details and some of the stuff that I don't want to bring up and spend hours talking to you about. But this is it. This is where we are. We look forward to you guys being a part of this journey with us, and it should be fun. All right. Thanks, guys. So welcome, and this is going to be Front Porch Forum. This is Simpson Construction, Beth and Josh, and we'll see you soon.
Wrap it up.
Sunset, sunrise, dunes whisper a lullaby, red drum, stray cat, lemon sun and a pine straw hat, secret spot in the shade of a canopy. I'm so high you see on the low country, salt and sea hospitality. I'm so high on the low